We know that competencies are an integral component of competency-based education, but what are they exactly? In this video, my colleague Jill and I are sharing the importance of crafting clear, compelling competencies to support student learning. Hi, I'm Drew Shantz, Senior Design Principal with Education Elements.
And I'm Jill Thompson, Associate Partner at Education Elements. This is our second video in the series. If you haven't seen the first one on why competency-based education makes learning more responsive for students, click on the link in the description.
Yes, you definitely want to watch that one first. So what do we even mean by competency-based education anyway? Competency-based education focuses not just on providing flexibility with time to ensure students can demonstrate mastery over their learning, but also more intentionality behind articulating what students should know and be able to do at the completion of a particular learning journey. These mission-critical skills, knowledge, and abilities manifest themselves through competencies, without which we wouldn't have CBE.
Exactly. Distilling learning into its most essential components is crucial for streamlining the learning experience. Not only does it allow the students to clearly articulate what they are learning, but why it's important to their future.
We often get asked the question, how is a competency different from a standard? Simply put, standards are discrete descriptions of what students should be able to do in relation to established criteria, often by a state or local education agency. They essentially serve as the building blocks for competencies, which take standards a step further and describe how students should apply their learning and transfer that learning to new and novel contexts. Competencies can be comprised of multiple standards, are revisited multiple times through the learning experience, and also allow for the transfer of knowledge and skills across academic disciplines.
We also often get the question, what's the difference between standard-based learning and competency-based learning? The best response we've heard is from Chris Strugus, who has said, perhaps the most important difference of all between standard-based learning and competency-based learning is the commitment to the student. In standard-based systems, standards set a consistent target for teaching, but in practice, there is no specific commitment that all students achieve the target. Essentially, this means that students might be held to the same standards, yet they may advance to new learning without mastering previous content. Competency-based learning, however, is dependent on mastery learning, not seat time or what is dictated on a calendar.
That is a really good point, Jill. It's one thing to set common outcomes for all students, but another entirely to hold students accountable to master that learning. Competencies focus on the application of learning rather than just the content knowledge itself. In a competency-based system, it's not enough for a student to be able to rely on information recall alone. Rather, students will demonstrate their learning according to mastery of competencies that provide the opportunity for application and synthesis of knowledge. Competencies can also encompass cross-cutting, transferable skills that can be applied in a number of different situations and contexts. In theory, the skills that are described in a competency will be valuable many years from now, even when the content knowledge itself has maybe changed a little bit.
Let's take a look at some examples of competency-based learning so you can see what we mean. In this example, from the state of New Hampshire for high school English language arts, we can see that this particular competency is a collection of skills and standards that support a student's ability to demonstrate mastery in writing arguments. It is relatively broad in scope and transferable to a number of novel contexts, not exclusive to ELA. However, it is backed by English language arts standards. To take this a step further, a district might make more explicit connections to these competencies and their portrait of a graduate, so a student knows the big picture for why writing arguments will help them succeed in the future.
Here's another example from the Sanborn Regional School District for K-8 mathematics that dials in a little bit deeper. You can see in this example that the district has articulated a competency around measurement that they're going to hold all students accountable to from grades K through 12. This example also shows how a competency can be broken down into grade-span sub-competencies to chart out a progression towards mastery that's developmentally appropriate for each set of grades. Here we can see how focusing on specific aspects of the measurement competency in kindergarten through second grade serves as a foundation for continued and deeper learning as students progress through later grades. These grade-level competencies are then supported by learning objectives that show up more explicitly from day to day during class time.
Seeing these examples really gets me to think about the student learning experience, Drew. Knowing what I'm learning, why I'm learning, and how it connects to my future gets me excited about the learning process. For teachers as well, it provides clarity of why the content is important and ties to the big picture.
I agree, Jill. It's really exciting to think about the ways in which we can start to streamline the learning experience to make it more meaningful and sensical for a variety of stakeholders. And that's getting me to wonder, from you all watching, have you experimented with this idea of mission critical or streamlined learning in your school or district? If so, how? If not, what are you excited to try? Drop your answer in the comments below and we'll be sure to respond. The next episode in our Student Competencies series shares how you might be able to put some of these ideas into practice right away. Make sure to subscribe and click on the bell button to get notified when it's released. And if you like the content that we shared, please like this video and share it with your friends and colleagues. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.